What is up, everybody? This is Corey James of Carbon Stone, and you are listening to Beyond the Breakdown with Six Scars.
What's up, everybody? You are listening to Beyond the Breakdown with Six Scars. I am your host, JT, and I am joined tonight by Kevin and Javier of 50 Flies. Fellas, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Appreciate you having us on.
For sure.
Oh, man, I'm stoked for this one. I really am. It looks like Facebook's having trouble yet again. I swear, I cannot catch a break with that. So I did post the YouTube link, so hopefully we'll get some people over there. But if not, I will just share the crap out of it.
Gotcha.
So for those that don't know 50 Flies, tell us a little bit about you.
I'd say we're like a rock alternative metal band. We've got a lot of influences kind of all across the board. Everything from just super heavy death metal down to Papa Roach, all the way to Red Hot Chili Peppers. So it's got a lot of early 2000 influence in it, just because I think that's what we all grew up on. But we definitely put a modern twist on it.
Heck yeah. Javi, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're five friends who are just we go in, bring our influences, stuff we grew up with, like Kevin said, and just put it together, and kind of hopefully what comes out is something that everybody enjoys.
Oh, I'm definitely enjoying it. Like I said, I've been rocking you all day. So I mean, we'll get to some of the songs, but so we have 2/5 of the band here, Kevin
Right.
and Javi. What do you all do in the band?
I'm the vocalist.
I am a bassist and do some backup vocals.
Okay. So how did it come together? Like, how did you all meet?
Kevin, start the journey.
Yeah. Well, long story short, I'm not the original singer. There was a guy before me by the name of Brandon Ritchie. Unfortunately, he passed away, but long story short, he stepped away from the band for a little while. And when he did, Chip and Andrew, our drummer and our current guitar player, they were looking for another singer, and through some mutual friends, they found me. I was in a band before this called Beyond Amends. That project kind of split up, and so I decided to come on board. And then the bass player that we had at the time, he ended up moving away, and I believe it was Chip that found Javi.
Okay.
Brandon Ritchie took back over and then left. And then the only people that were left was Chip and Andrew. And through some mutual friends, Chip got a hold of me, and we met up, and we just kind of were starting 3-piece, not like without a singer, just getting in the groove with the music and getting used to each other. And we had a couple other people kind of try out and come in and out, and before we ended up back with Kevin. Kevin came back on, and basically from there, we went for a little while as a 4-piece. Richie came back in and played as our second guitar player for a long time. Then he left. He left the band, and then Kevin just knew Austin, right?
Yeah.
Who was now our second guitar player.
Austin was like trying to build a little studio set up at his house, and
Hi, Missy.
Hey, Missy. I used to know his sister a lot better than I knew him. She used to come out to a lot of the Beyond Amends shows back in the day. And recently, Austin was trying to set himself up a little home studio, so he hit me up. And it just so happens we were looking for a guitar player. He played guitar, and we were like, dude, why don't you come try out? And the thing about this band is it's all about the vibe. You either fit in or you don't. And it was that's one of the reasons nobody's really stuck around out of all of the other people that have kind of tried out for this band, just because the vibe wasn't right. And with Austin, it was almost instant. The vibe was perfect.
Heck yeah. Now, you all formed, I believe your bio said 2009?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
The original start date of the band is a little bit of a mystery, I think.
Okay.
Other than their very first show, like I said before, I was in and before Kevin.
Yeah.
But I've been going on playing bass, I think, within my 5th year now.
Oh, okay.
And I think everybody was together like 10 years before. So it's been a minute.
I think I joined in for the first time in 2016.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's been a minute.
What's really funny is I was playing in a band, Shadow Myself, with Travis Kazaya from Scars for quite a while.
Yeah, shout out Travis.
And when I left that, I was just in some other projects for a little while, and then we all played together at some point or another. I know Kevin, when he was in the Beyond the Men's, we shared the stage at some point. We didn't really know each other, but we did there. And
I'm sure, I don't even know what stage that was.
Yeah, at some point, I'm sure the Flies shared stage as well. I mean, everybody's been around for a minute.
Hell yeah. Liars Pacifist podcast, one of my favorite people of all time. He's not heard any song from 50 Flies. Describe your music with one word, and he'll check it out.
Oh, wow.
One word, that's pretty tough. But I would say loud.
I'm gonna say fun, because I feel like regardless of the tone of the music, it's just different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that there's a little bit there for everybody.
Yeah.
Missy said catchy. That's good.
There you go. That's a good one.
From a fan perspective, I would say heartfelt.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So what was like, I know you guys haven't been with the band since the formation, but has it always been the same kind of sound since you guys have been in it, or has there been evolutions throughout?
Well, you've heard you watched the videos and you've seen the different lineups, right? Like you've seen Richie, Justin, Chip, and Andrew. That was the kind of the first. Actually, that wasn't even the first iteration. It was one before that.
That's the first serious iteration of the band.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So a lot of those songs you hear were written by Richie. And that's, what he did. He put his heart in all these songs that he wrote. And we've carried those songs since then. Invisible, You Can't Bury Me. I don't know if you heard Coincide or not, Take Over the World. All those are Richie's songs. So
wow.
It's awesome that you said that. And then the ones you may have heard recently with Kevin, Angry, Hollywood, couple others in there. Yeah, then Devil, the new single. Kevin's the same way. He's the guy who sits down and he take his book, or he hears something or thinks of something, he writes it down. It's just poetry for both of them, Richie and Kevin.
Thank you for that comparison, Javi. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man. I can definitely tell the brotherhood is strong with you all just through the screen. So I mean that's really cool to see. Kevin, I mean, what was it like kind of stepping into that position? Those are for such a tight-knit band, those are some heavy shoes to fill,
Well, at first, before I really ever met the guys, I had met Chip first. And anybody that's ever met Chip knows that, like, you meet Chip for 2 seconds and it's like you've known him 20 years. He's probably the most, like, inviting guy you'll ever meet. But, coming into the first practice with those guys and kind of meeting everybody, it was a little nervous. But once I got there, everybody just made me feel at home, And the one thing I think that was the most important to me coming in, and it would have been a deal breaker for me, was the ability to kind of tweak things around to fit my own style.
Yeah.
And when you come in, following someone else, that's always kind of a touchy subject, whether or not, they're going to be okay with that. And Richie was actually there. My first ever practice with 50, and he had the lyrics printed out for me and everything. And I asked, I was like, okay, there's a couple things that you sing a little differently than I would, do you mind if I change them around? And he was like, dude, it's yours, man. Do what you want to do with it. And it was just almost instantly like I belong there.
Wow. Richie sounds like an incredible soul.
Absolutely.
Missy Wood said Richie was an amazing songwriter. I'm sad that I was not able to meet him. He sounds incredible. Right. But you all are carrying on his legacy, and he's definitely there in spirit with you all too.
Every time.
So backing it up a little bit, we'll start with you, Kevin. What were some of your inspirations to get into music and then vocals?
Well, as far back as I can remember, I think the first band I ever really got into was, believe it or not, the Eagles. My grandma raised me, and I remember when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, going through the entertainment center. My grandma used to record all these VHS tapes, and there was one that said "Hell Freezes Over" on it. And being 4 or 5 years old, I threw it in the VCR, or whatever, thinking that I'm watching something I'm not supposed to, and come to find out it was an Eagles concert. And my mom came in the room and she was like, Kevin, what are you watching? And I'm about to turn it off real quick, thinking I'm about to get in trouble. And she was just like, oh no, let me tell you about the Eagles, boy. And
all right.
So it started with that, and then kind of the natural progression. Kind of went from the Eagles to Tom Petty, Styx, a lot of the classic rock stuff. Yeah. And then Creed, Nickelback, I think kind of the natural progression there. And then when I got older, I walked into a Hot Topic with my cousin. I might have been 10 or 11. And we saw a poster of Slipknot. And I was hooked. To this day, I've got a tattoo on my arm to prove it.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But I knew I wanted to do that from the time I was a little kid. I literally was a little kid singing in his bedroom, pretending I was putting on a concert for everybody. That was me.
Pretty awesome.
Hell yeah. I'm a maggot until I die, so I'm right there with you for Slipknot, man. And as a vocalist myself, I relate hardcore to that, being in the living room, wherever you were, just putting on a performance.
Absolutely.
Envisioning hundreds and thousands of people there, and then hissing your pants probably, but then just singing.
It's a lot more comfortable in your bedroom than it is the first time you actually do have to play in front of a large crowd.
That's fair.
So, Javi, what was your experience, man?
Well, I mean, my brothers were listening to AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and all that growing up. So that was kind of the first thing. And then a lot of my family were musicians, from playing accordions to trumpets to all that stuff. And so I picked it up in middle school, started band, playing my trumpet, and did all that through high school, and kind of learned strings and piano, and went to college for a little while for music. And then I just figured out I couldn't be a teacher. And so I no longer pursued that. But I still got all, the knowledge. And that's when I started playing bass when I came out of college with some buddies, and it just kind of progressed from there.
Wow. So now, were you wanting to be a music teacher?
That was the path, yes.
Yeah.
It was music education, yeah.
Well, I mean, not to crap on that, but I'm glad that it didn't work out, because it did give us what we have now.
I quickly learned that I did not have the patience for that particular thing.
I completely
Don't let him
get that.
fool you. He's the only real musician in this band. We're all just playing the part. Javi's the only one that actually understands it.
So, for each of you, we've talked about your inspirations so far, but what was it like to finally make that plunge and just break into music? Was it nerve-wracking? Was it liberating? What were your feelings?
my story, I don't know if my story is necessarily fair, because the first time I ever played it seriously, we all kind of met randomly, if that makes any sense, in Beyond Amends. And we entered a battle of the bands like as our first show in Charlotte, not thinking we would get anywhere. It was just a place to play. And we ended up winning the whole thing like as our first like 3 shows. And then after that, it was kind of just like, okay, we can pretty much play wherever. Like everybody started to hit us up. So there wasn't really some big story, you know, about persevering and, you know, pushing through the scene and all of that. It kind of just happened in my first band. I don't know about Hobby, but
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into it as well, as far as like a rock band. Like I said, I played like concert music and stuff for a long time, but it was kind of just the same thing. Like I would go out with a buddy to an open mic and play bass for him, and then it turned into meeting Travis and when the band Shadow Myself was around through that, and same thing again. Just kind of a friend of mine said, "Hey, go talk to this guy," and that's how I ended up with 50 Flies. So.
It's crazy how it just
happens.
Yeah.
And thank you to Liars Pacifist Podcast. We appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you guys should actually check out his podcast as well. He's into the same kind of realm that I am, just getting as much stories of independent bands and bigger bands that he can, and just like learning the people, you know, and then like really diving into the songs. He's awesome. I can't say enough good things, and he's just going to be like, well, I didn't say that to get a plug, JT, but I'm giving it one.
Yeah, it's fine.
So what was, I always like asking people this question, what was your most unexpected influence? I know, Kevin, for you, it might have been the Eagles. But outside of that, for both of you, what would have been one of your most unexpected influences?
Well, like for me, as far as unexpected influences, you know, when I started playing music, I was just playing my trumpet, and then I started listening to more classical music and jazz music, you know, older jazz music, Miles Davis and Duke Ellington, you know, those guys. And that's kind of where my style formed as more of a jazz classical type, and then, you know, stumbling into just the rock bands, GNR and Chili Peppers and AC/DC, all those guys, and just kind of meld all that together. And Chili Peppers was something I really connected with. Also with Primus, you know, Les Claypool, and the way their style was very funky. That's kind of where I draw my attention from.
Okay.
With me, I would have to say, besides the Eagles, I would probably have to say Nickelback. Just because, I mean, love or hate the band, I honestly believe that Chad Kroeger is one of the most talented songwriters I've ever listened to in my entire life. Like, the man can take anything and turn it platinum.
You're not wrong, man.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, yeah.
I mean, same with Creed. Like, you know, it's become commonplace for everybody just to crap on Creed, but it's like, man, I've been a Creed fan since day one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that was where we were growing up through, right? That's the music that was on the radio, and that's music you heard in, you know, every gas station you went into and stuff like that.
Let me just say, like, was that not such a better time to listen to music? Because, like, when I was a kid, you don't have any stigmas about the music you're listening to.
Yeah.
You know, like, when you're a little kid, like, you don't care, oh, how does everybody feel about Nickelback or Creed? You just hear it, you like it, and you listen to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how old you guys are. I'm getting ready to be 34, but I remember. Okay. So yeah. In the same age realm then.
37 over here.
Oh, okay. Well, you're still a young pup. Don't worry about it.
It's creeping up on
me. Hey, dude, time is a thief. Like that. Yeah, that is for damn sure. But But no, I remember being a kid listening to music on CD players, and it's like you didn't know what you were getting until you bought the CD. Now everybody has like this ADHD brain with instant gratification where it's like they won't listen to more than 2 or 3 songs at a time. And they have to know what it is beforehand because they're like, well, is it going to pique my interest? Because there's so many other things to fill their time with that it's like, if you don't stand out, you're kind of screwed from the very beginning. And it's like, for me, when I was listening to you guys, you stood out. You had that early 2000s metal vibe, dude.
I appreciate that.
I love it. Kevin, I love your vocals and I love the bass. I love everything about the band, honestly.
Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you.
I listened to like a lot of early 2000s, alternative metal and underground metal. And I was like, these guys would have fit in perfectly with that era of like, Diecast and Raw and Earshot and like all those things. I was like, dude, I could see you guys being right next to them. But to get back onto the original topic with what we were talking about, it was so much easier because our minds weren't as I don't want to say depressed, but as desensitized,
contaminated. Yeah, there you
go. Yes, because it's like now, well, what is this opinion gonna get me? And then everywhere you look, there's always this different opinion. And it's like back then, our minds were much more pure and untainted. And it's like we just enjoyed music for the hell of it.
Yep.
Right. I remember like that time of, you didn't have Spotify. Like, I remember getting my first MP3 player and like having to go through my music and put it on there.
You thought you were God because you could listen to whatever you wanted to.
It was amazing at that point to be able to kind of rifle through the songs you had, but you had them. Like you had to retrieve them in some way instead of it just being available already.
See, like when I was younger, I didn't have. Okay, my parents were poor, so when I grew up, like I remember going to FYE at the mall as a kid. And literally scanning the CD and listening to all the songs. When I first When I first found Slipknot, that's how I first listened to them. So I knew almost all their songs, but I only knew like the first 30 seconds.
As long as you got a chorus and a verse, you're probably all right.
There you go.
Well, for Slipknot, that's kind of hard within 30 seconds.
That's true.
It's like every song's a teaser.
Yeah.
That's like edging of the worst kind, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Will Brawley wanted to ask a question. He says, what's the process behind the writing? Do you like to branch out and write about things listeners might not expect? And what will be familiar to your listener?
When I write a song, as selfish as it sounds, I kind of write it for me. So I write it for like, what I can relate to. And I think you said heartfelt earlier. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of why it comes off that way, because it's true to me. And I guess in some weird way, I feel like if it's true to me, then other people can relate to it as well. I've always said that the verse is always for me and the chorus is always basically summing it up for everyone else. So like I tend to keep it kind of broad and kind of metaphorical, if that makes sense. Just because I don't want it to be so specific to me that nobody else will get it. But, I just try and stay honest with myself. And as long as I am, then I feel like other people will get it too.
Yeah. As far as like the instrumental side, Kev usually comes to us and says, hey, I got these lyrics.
What you got for me?
Here's my thoughts and my suggestions on it. Let's try to piece something together. And, when you sit in the practice with Andrew, he has riffs in his mind all the time. And honestly, the hardest part is putting them all together. Because there's just so many things that he can put down. And, we just start playing, right? Like we get a riff, you see what the chords are, bass and drums jump in, and we've just kind of got to a point to where we can meld together that way pretty easily when we really want to. A lot of times we don't want to, but sometimes yeah.
We all love each other, but we can be one of the most dysfunctional bands on planet Earth. It's just procrastinating and pushing things off. And yeah.
I get that. I get that completely. I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of discord, no matter what you do. Like it's just because you're around each other for so long. You know, it's impossible to not have that little bit of infighting. But it's how you manage it is what matters, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Liars Pacifist said, Kevin, you should always write for yourself first. And I was going to say, I absolutely agree with that because I know you said that it might seem selfish, but for me, I find that to be more freeing in a way. If you can tell your own story and then get people to listen to it, but not necessarily from your perspective and still get something from it, that's the mark of a good songwriter.
Thank you.
That's something we really appreciate too. Is it's not a forced thing for him. It's just here's what I got. Here's my lyrics, guys. This is what the song's about. You know, so it's like, all right, well, let's go. That's what we want.
There's been a couple ones that are kind of controversial where the band is just like, yeah, no, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like putting the song together, obviously, you know, if the lyrics, I mean, that should be for any band. If everybody's not feeling what's being put down, you know, somebody needs to say something. That's kind of how we are, you know. If it's or hey, maybe let's change this little thing or let's do this, and you know, we try to work it out.
Well, I mean, I think that it comes down to, you know, a band. It still functions like a democracy, you know. Like if not everybody agrees on one thing, then it's like, well, maybe that thing isn't the thing to do right now.
Right.
But
absolutely,
I also feel kind of cheated because I feel bad because I didn't know that Kevin was on other songs, and the latest one I heard was Devil. So I did not hear Hollywood or Angry. So now I'm kind of mad.
None of those are like studio recorded. So everything that's out there will be live video. Right now, the only song we actually have studio recorded is Devil.
Right.
We've got some more stuff in the works, but long story short, I wrote Hollywood Nightmare. I wrote Angry. I wrote What You Made Me. There were quite a few that I wrote when I joined the band the first time. Okay. And then when I left, they kept them around. A couple of different people have sung them, Richie, a few others. And, you know, so it's just stuff we still have. But, I mean, those are songs that were written, back in 2016, 2017.
Yeah, I mean, those have been on the whiteboard for years.
Oh, man.
You can't even get them off the whiteboard anymore.
Yeah. Well, we got a new whiteboard now.
Yeah.
What was it like seeing them come to fruition, though? Like you said, they've been on there for years. So what was the feeling when you finally got it out and were like, okay, this is what we want to do?
I mean, those songs have pretty much been the same since they got written. Hollywood Nightmare kind of came about because Chip turned around, our drummer, one day and was like, hey, give me a party song. So I threw that one out. That's literally how simple it all was. And it's just, you know, we all get up in a room and we jam and here's a song. So, I mean, we've been playing those songs. Those songs have been done pretty much since they were written. And that's really how we are with most of our music. So, I mean, I don't think it was anything special. It was just like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get it going. We just needed more songs to add to the set list.
Yeah. And then I was there when we put Hate Affair together. Hollywood was already wrote when I joined the band, but we wrote Hate Affair and Devil, obviously, and then the Man That Touched the Sun. We also wrote that one as the current lineup.
I'd like to get that studio recorded soon. That would be a good one.
That sounds like an epic title, The Man Who Touched the Sun. So is it kind of based on loosely like Icarus?
No, the song's actually about my stepfather.
Oh.
My stepfather was, can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
My stepfather was a piece of shit. And it was kind of like, I struggled for a long time to not be like that. You know what I mean? Like when you're raised by somebody, you know, you start to, I don't know, you're always afraid of picking up other people's bad habits.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of realizing that you make your own destiny and, you know, you set the tone for the rest of your life. And that's really what that one's about. The lyric or the title came about because it was basically the lyric is so busy chasing all the stars that you forgot the moon. You build in all your thoughts till there's no room left to move. You look back on your life, still wishing you were young. Gave up all you have. You're the man that touched the sun.
Shit.
We just got deep.
Well, I mean, to be transparent, that's what this podcast is about. It's primarily a vehicle for bands to talk about their music, but it is also a way to discuss mental health because it's a very dear subject that, you know, to this day I don't think there's enough light shed on, and it's not Absolutely. As stigmatized now because, you know, within the last 10, 20, 30 years, whatever, but there's still so many topics that people are afraid to discuss. You know, there's certain mental things that we've gone through or crises that they don't want to touch on because they're like, well, that seems taboo. And it's like, if you're willing to talk about things like that, you don't know who you might be able to help. And I'm not saying that you have to talk about them either.
Yeah. Oh no, we're a band that's 100% behind that. You know, I mean, I feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had. And if it can save one person's life, then it's worth having.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Liars Pacifist. Again, man, he's such a sweetheart. He's experienced he experienced hell. I actually had him on an episode in the very beginning of the podcast. He was a two-parter, and we touched on a lot of very, very serious and deep topics. And I mean, he's one of the most beautiful souls I've ever actually gotten to talk to. I can't say enough good things about him. And Kevin, I think you would have a wonderful time if you guys ever went on his podcast. I'm just saying that Absolutely. Right now.
We'll definitely reach out. What's his name?
Liars Pacifist Podcast.
Okay.
But he's also Will Brawley on Facebook. I can link you to him, by the way.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome.
He says, so be the change, Kevin. You have my undying support and encouragement. Takes a lot of strength to rise above. Fuck yeah, dude.
Thank you so much, man. And I hate to hear that you went through that with your dad, man. I mean, I 100% get it. You know, my childhood was, for lack of a better word, pretty fucked up in a lot of parts. So, I mean, 100%, man, we gotta be better than what we came from. That's the best way I can put that.
Absolutely. Where you guys said, you know, you are willing to talk about things. I'm not going to touch on that, but what is it like having music as that catharsis? It for me, I find it so enriching, and it's like I can just drain every ounce of rage that I have when I grab the microphone and scream my fucking lungs out.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. I've always said, why am I going to pay a therapist $100 an hour when I can write a song and get out there and play it? You know, I mean, I feel like, yes,
it's like $100 an hour, but it's just different.
Absolutely. Talking about it, I mean, definitely that's a good thing, you know, but when you can not only talk about it, but also influence other people.
Yeah.
You know, that's really, that's where it's at. And I just saw the comment, Chester healed a lot of my pain. No, absolutely. Chester Bennington was one of my biggest influences as a singer ever growing up. And hell, I still have a hard time listening to Linkin Park after what happened with Chester. Like, I'll be real with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. So for both of you, was there ever any anxieties in breaking into the band and being where you're at now? Like, do you still end up kind of dealing with a little bit, if you do have any?
I mean, for me, like I've been playing music since I was in middle school. Marching bands, concert bands. not trying to toot my own horn here, but I was a lot of
Too
first
late.
chair action, a lot of first chair action with that trumpet that's right there in the corner. So
Oh,
I did a lot of soloing out in front of hundreds of people in stadiums and things like that. So I kind of broke my anxiety way back when.
okay.
As far as the crowd, right? I mean, honestly, my anxiety is more of making sure I put on a good performance for my boys in the band.
Yeah.
Making sure we're tight and I do my job. As far as the fans, I'm gonna try to entertain the best I can, but I don't really get anxiety to that part of it.
No, absolutely. Will said trumpet breakdown.
Man,
Please,
I don't
that would
think
be epic.
I don't even think those valves move. I haven't played it in like 6 years.
See, that's what Devil's missing. You need to do a remix, and it's just
Yeah.
the trumpet and
Please,
with Kevin on vocals.
please, that would be hilarious. I'm picturing like the Chuck Mangione scene from King of the Hill, where he's just standing on the hill playing.
Yeah.
Oh man, oh that's beautiful.
Mhm.
We've been talking so long. I hadn't even gotten to ask you about the music yet, so I apologize.
You're good.
I've been having a blast with this, guys. Thank you
that's
again
good.
for doing this. So I wanted to ask you about the song. I know with Richie having passed, but what was some of the inspiration, if you guys know, about Take Over the World?
Richie, what's the easiest way to say this? Richie went through a lot, man. Mental health was, a huge factor in Richie's life. And, Richie struggled with a lot. And the one thing that you always got out of any song that Richie ever wrote was honesty. And I don't know 100% exactly what the song is about. But the way I take it, it's kind of rising above, all of the things that you're going through. Because for those that knew Richie on a personal level, getting up on stage and playing in front of people was something that he always struggled with. That's why he left the band so many times, is he had a really hard time getting up there and playing in front of people. So writing that song and getting up there and playing it for as long as he did with the band, to me, that's what that song's about.
Okay.
Yeah, I get behind that, Kev. Feel the same way.
That's a really appropriate way, I think, to word it too, is how you envision the song. Because again, I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth. I just I was very curious about that one, because that song definitely struck a chord when I first heard it.
We love that one, man. And that's why me and Austin did the acoustic version of it, because after Richie passed away, the two songs that kind of meant the most to me were Take Over and Invisible, because I think Invisible is another one that really can touch a lot of people. I think everybody kind of feels that way. And, out of all the songs we've ever put out, that's the one. I've had people come up to me, and I'm not even the one that wrote it, but I've had people come up to me and say, man, that song's damn near saved my life, Yeah. And it's like, dude, that's powerful, man. That's powerful.
I couldn't imagine what that feeling is like, though, to write something and then have somebody say that. Like, it has to be overwhelming, even if you're not the one that wrote it, but you're performing it in a way that it still touches them.
That's why we do it. It's stuff like that motivates you to keep going. I've always said, I did an interview with Beyond Amends, a long time ago. And the question was, I'm trying to remember exactly how they worded it, but it was basically, what do you want to leave behind? What's your goal? And it was, if I can touch one person with what I do, then I've done my job right. I'm not singing to the person that's, having a peachy life and everything's great. That's awesome. But I'm more so singing to the kid who needs to hear it, to the person that it can affect the most. That's really kind of what I'm interested in doing.
Absolutely. How about you, Javi? Not to parrot another person's question, but what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, when it comes to our musical journey, us putting out Devil is a big step forward for us as a band, and being able to put that out there in people's hands and continue to put our music, whether it's new or some of the older stuff, if we want to do that as well. That's what I want to do. I want the music to go out there. I want the music to go in people's ears and for them to connect and enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely think they will. I mean, like I said, it's heartfelt, but it's also pulsing through people's veins when you're listening to it. Like some of your all's riffs are really, like not some, all of your all's riffs are really freaking tasty.
That's the man Andrew there.
Yep. Absolutely.
So what was kind of the vision behind You Can't Bury Me?
Again, that was a Richie song.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the same thing, like his own personal struggle was kicking his ass.
Yeah.
And I think that was his way of saying, you're not going to take me. Like you are bigger than what you're going through. And that's, again, the way I take it. Again, me and Richie never got a chance to really sit down, and I wish we had, but we never really got a chance to sit down and discuss the meanings of the songs. And I think a lot of that's just because, he never asked me about mine and I never asked him about his, because, it gets really personal. But, that's the way I interpret it.
Okay. Well, for instrumental on that one, for me, I was listening to it and I was like, this sounds a hell of a lot like Papa Roach, like older Papa Roach. And I was listening to it. I was like, damn, it sounds like Time Is Running Out by Papa Roach. Like that same kind of guitar riff and not riff, but tone. And I was like, this is fucking good.
Yeah, I'd have to say You Can't Bury Me is one of my favorite ones to play. Like you said, just that opening guitar tone and riff is just pleasurable to the ears. It feels really good when you hear it. Yeah.
So what are, some hobbies outside of music that help spark your creativity? I
like to play video games, spend time with the family. I love guns. That's a good one. Shooting, listening to music. I don't know what you got, Javi.
Yeah, I have a few hobbies that I enjoy and partake in. One is I love just film. That type of artistry. We talked about beforehand my podcast. I don't know if you want to talk about that now.
Yes.
I figured I'd ask you. You wanted to talk about it. So yeah, me and a friend of mine from high school, he's one of my best friends, Clyde Smith. We co-host a podcast where we talk about movies and trailers and TV shows, things coming up, and just random stuff in our life kind of thing. We've known each other for seems like forever, so it's our excuse to get together every Monday night and just talk BS and enjoy each other's company, and then hopefully everybody else that listens enjoys our company as well. But it's Movie in a Pod is the name of the podcast.
Oh, I'll be checking that out then for sure.
Yes, please go ahead. And also just obviously just I collect things, guitars and trinkets of all sorts.
Okay.
You do archery too. That arrow you had out there at your house that day.
Yeah. I mean, there's my bows right there.
Yeah,
oh hell.
yeah, archer.
He had this arrow that had like a glow thing on the back of it, so when he shot it, you could just see it moving straight through the air. It was awesome.
Yeah, those are so awesome. They're so much fun.
So we got a trumpet that was on the casting couch because he was so good. And now we got the freaking green arrow over here.
Yeah, I do a lot of things. My mind likes to stay occupied with whatever it can.
Chip Barringer, Yo Brothers, what's good?
What's
There
up,
he
Chip?
is. There's the
You rocking
man.
with us, buddy.
It's always really cool to see people turn out to these and get involved. I'm always encouraging crowd participation. So how has your all's perspective on music shifted since you first started?
Long story short, I think it's modernized a lot. Just hearing different sounds and kind of hearing the way other people do things, it definitely kind of changes what you are wanting to hear and what you're wanting to make at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Devil's a lot of that. When we made Devil, our producers, Jordan Matascione and Sam Ochiltree from Pangea Creative Group, really kind of brought a little bit of a modern vibe to it and kind of helped us morph our sound a little bit. And it's awesome. I'm loving the direction, and in the process, it's changed a lot of kind of what I listen to too, and kind of opened my ears to a lot of other sounds.
Oh yeah. How about you, Javi?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of been my journey just playing with different musicians. Like I said, from concert music to just the other rock bands I've been in over time, just meeting new people and listening to new styles and kind of trying to fit in, especially as a bass player. I'm not leading the chart. I'm trying to fit in somewhere, find that pocket, and that's really helped me morph my my talent to where I can just kind of slide in there, and everybody appreciates it, but they don't have to comment on it.
I will comment this. There are a lot of bands that have a bass player that can play bass. Usually they're like converted guitar players, something like that, and they kind of figure it out. Javi can play bass. Javi actually knows how to play bass. That's nice.
There's a difference, because if you think about it, the bassist is the one key factor that's if they fuck up, everybody loses rhythm.
Bass and drums, yeah.
Bass and drums, yeah.
we were doing that's fun, Kevin. We were doing a acoustic session. We were working on some acoustic music about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Kevin's sitting next to my little bass amp, and he looks at me and he says, I knew you were pretty good, but holy shit, you're pretty awesome.
Because a lot of times you get drowned out. Especially from where I'm standing, a lot of times, the guitar and the bass kind of blend together. And I feel like that's how it should be. I feel like, if they blend together, then that's how it's complementing each other.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of the first times. That was one of the first times I could ever actually just hear the bass. And I'm like, damn, Javi, get it, bro.
It's I've been in this band forever, but I'm just now hearing your ass.
Yeah. That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes on a lot of stuff.
It does. I know with the band I'm part of, Killbait Overdose, we have great people, but every now and then I'll look over at the bassist and I'm like, holy shit, Nathan, you're killing it. Because it's like you said, that mix, and you're just like, oh, I didn't know that was going on.
Yeah.
So here's a fun question for you guys. I think you'll enjoy this. If you had to describe 50 Flies as a type of drink or food, what would you say and why?
Probably say a Monster energy drink, Kev.
Yeah. Specifically, me being Java Monster, not being endorsed, but
yeah.
Monster, if you want to pay me, I'm right here.
You just became my brother there, Kevin. Brothers in Monster Power.
Absolutely. Yeah, Monster energy drink would be a good one.
It's what you see just sitting all over the band room. That
coffee in general.
Light.
Beer. That's how we would describe this band. Beer. I actually don't have the bracelet. We sell bracelets on the online merch store that literally say "Hold my fucking beer."
Yeah.
And I was at a show last night. The reason I don't have my bracelet, Javi, you're gonna love this one. You haven't even heard this yet.
Okay.
I was at the Pixie show last night.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of the cops up there, and he was asking about the band. And I was like, he was going to write down the name of the band. And I was like, here, I'll just give you a bracelet. How fucking cool is that to hand a cop a fucking bracelet that literally says "Hold my fucking beer" on it.
Yeah.
That's kind of badass. Like,
I saw that on your shop, and I was like, "There's so much shit on here I want."
we do too. Trust me. Got so much fly shit.
So, okay, here's something. You just said you guys have so much on there that you want to. I have my own solo project, and I have a bunch of merch. I can't even afford my own damn merch, so everybody else gets shirts before I do it. I'm like, man, y'all are killing it over here.
I try and make a point to get one of just about everything we have.
Hell
just, because a lot of times with t-shirts and stuff like that, we'll kind of swap out designs. And, when one gets sold out, we'll move to another one. So it's just, I look at it almost like the history of the band. So I try and keep a little bit of everything. I've got a couple of like custom things too that were made with the band logo on them. But I mean, I don't have everything, but I have a good bit of it.
Hell yeah.
But we do pay for our own merch. We really do. We don't have to, but it all goes back into the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna come back around at some point. It's either like a 20 spot now or ask you for a couple hundred later. One of the two.
Yeah.
One of these things is a little bit worse than me. I'm just messing with you. So, all right. What was it like writing Beautiful Hate Affair?
Damn, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
I had the chorus, and as it is with a lot of the songs, I had the chorus first, and I can't remember who I was pissed off at. I honestly can't, but I was just really pissed off at somebody, and that's where I came up. You are the shadow of a man. Yeah, that's kind of where that started, and then the verses just kind of built around that, But to tell you the truth, and Javi will 100% back me up on this, Hate Affair is probably my least favorite song to play live.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just because vocally it's the most demanding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The very beginning of that song, I started off completely by myself, and it's like immediately right into a high note, and it's just like, oh, God, please don't squeak tonight. Like, fuck.
Well, it's like you rewrite it, and then like everything's good for like 2 weeks, and then we realize, if we put that towards the end of the set, Kev's like, why did I do it that way? Now it's like too late to go back and change it because we've already got it set in stone.
Yeah. Yep. That's the one where you open up with the high scream, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can see why it's more straining on that one because, like, again, I've written songs like that before, and I'm like, "Fuck, why did I do this to myself?"
And I'm by myself. Like, there's no in that intro. There's nothing else. It's just me. So if I fuck up, it's completely on me.
Yeah.
Like I have nothing to hide behind.
No pressure whatsoever, Kevin.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it started to climb up further and further into the set list every couple of weeks.
Or I just cut it. Like if there's
bottom now, it's like
can we not?
You like eventually it's just not going to be on the set list whatsoever. And they're going to be like, so where's Beautiful Hate Affair? And it's like, fuck, I don't know.
Well, that's why I keep writing. Like that's why I try and get better and better and better because hopefully I can just overwrite the song. Like after a while, just write so many good ones that they're like,
okay, going to erase it off the dry erase board one day, and it's just going to be gone.
Yeah.
Liar's Pacifist said, Kevin, gotta ask. You said you're a gamer. What do you play and what on?
I play a lot of shit. I'm one of those people I would rather play a story mode in a game than play online, just because very quickly I've learned that I have no desire to get online and play a game where an 8-year-old tells me that he just fucked my mom. Right now,
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right now, I play on PS5. Right now, I'm playing the second Spider-Man game. I think I just broke him.
No, it's true. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're better than me, so I can't even say anything.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Right?
Like 5 times.
It's like, damn, you did just have my mom.
But yeah, no, I play on PS5 usually. And right now I'm playing the new Spider-Man 2 game, which is fucking awesome. I love Kingdom Hearts. It's probably one of my favorite games.
Yes.
Absolutely. I've played them all. I'm going back now, playing the third one again.
Oh yeah.
And Metal Gear Solid. I'm real into that one. Just kind of whatever I'm into in that moment. But yeah, those are kind of like the ones that I've just been into lately.
Hell yeah. Will said instant flashbacks to the early Halo days lobbies.
Absolutely. Call of Duty too, man. Call of Duty on like
dude.
Xbox 360 was like the worst.
Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, you get cooked every day. And you had to learn to take it. It was like eating a plate of shit every day.
Yeah,
cancel that.
It's like I'm paying money for an Xbox subscription to get cussed out every time I log in.
Yeah,
like this
no
sucks. What's up, man?
We just become best friends. And fuck yes, Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, hell yeah.
I'm obsessed with Metal Gear, so I'm right there with them. So, getting back on track a little bit here, because this is a shit show anyway. I love it anyway. What, for both of you, what was it like writing What You Made Me?
What You Made Me was a breakup song. It was written, God, before I ever even joined Beyond Amends. It was an old song that I did. And if you try hard enough and you get on Google and you type in What You Made Me Taz featuring Kevin Reynolds, a buddy of mine who's a rapper actually wrote the verses to that.
Oh, wow.
And it was a collab that we did together. And it was really good. And it was a lot different than what it is now. Some of the verses were longer, but it was really good. And it just never went anywhere. And it never really fit into Beyond Amends. Like it was never really anything that we had considered for BA. But when I joined 50 Flies, Chip was talking about how we wanted more of a new metal sound, like some hip hop stuff. And that song was kind of sitting in the wind. And I hit up my friend Taz, who wrote the verses to that. And I was like, hey, do you mind if I use this for 50 Flies? And he was just like, absolutely not. Go for it, dude. And so that's kind of what it became. So unfortunately, I'm not the one that wrote the verses to it, but it just works so well. I had to keep it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and for a lot of those songs that were already put together when I joined the band, I basically just kind of wrote my own parts for those. Stepped in and just did my own thing. So other than like the 3 or 4 new ones that we have wrote at this lineup, yeah, that's basically what I did. I just came in and listened to Andrew and kind of just did my own thing.
Well, and What You Made Me actually went through 2 different iterations, because originally that was called Open Your Eyes.
Yeah.
It was a song that Richie wrote, and Richie was rapping in it. And I remember it just being easier to rewrite it than it was to try and like rap in his style and all of that.
Yeah.
And I asked Richie, I was like, do you care if I rewrite this? And he was like, dude, do what you got to do. And it turned into that. And then when I left, the singer that ended up replacing me this past time that I kind of stepped away from 50 for a while, couldn't rap it, as well as he wanted to. So he reverted back to Richie's. And then when I came back in, we switched it.
So I've had the right bass part for 2 versions of that song.
Yeah, pretty much.
Were you just like, well, FML the entire time? I'm kidding. So, all right, we've talked about What You Made Me, and we've talked about some other ones. And before I get to the big one that really got with me, how do you all handle writer's block? Not necessarily lyrics for you, Javi, but as far as just like creative blocks.
For me, I've kind of just learned over time to step away from it for a while. Like if it's not coming to me, then I just need to walk away until it does, because otherwise I'm going to end up writing filler tracks. And that's something that, unfortunately we did quite a bit of with Beyond Amends for that reason, and it kind of taught me the lesson of if it's not something I'm 100% behind, then I don't need to just put something out for the sake of putting it out. I don't care if we put out 1 song every 2 years, as long as that 1 song is going to be quality. I'd rather do that than put out 20 songs over the course of 6 months and only 2 of them actually be worth the shit.
Yes.
Yeah, that basically, writing an album in like 6 months. There's a couple good ones and there's a bunch of not awesome ones. So we're definitely behind that with Kev is getting quality out of what we put out.
And like I mentioned, Nickelback. The thing is with Chad Kroeger, I think one of the things that makes him a great songwriter is if you listen to a Nickelback record, love them or hate them, there are almost no filler tracks. Every song on their records is structured and is capable of being a lead single if they wanted it to be.
Which is insane when you think about it, right? Like that's like 12 or 13 tracks that could be hit singles.
And most of them are. I mean, when Nickelback releases a record, at least for a long time there, you would literally start to hear it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going off the radio. Like it was insane.
Like, that's a great point. And it also brings me to another question I'll ask you guys. We touched on the album experience earlier, but as far as 50 Flies, do you all take the approach of releasing singles, or are you going to take the approach of doing EPs?
If we ever did and we've talked about this, if we ever did an EP, it would probably be a re-record of a lot of the old songs. As far as the new ones, I think we're all on the same page with the singles releases. Just because, I mean, nowadays we're in an era where unless there's a reason to group everything together, I mean, everybody's going on Spotify, Apple Music, and picking and choosing what they want to hear anyway. Yeah. Let's just release a bunch of singles that we like when we come up with them and when we're ready to release them. And that way you guys can have, the music now. We don't have to sit there and go on hiatus for a year and try and write a whole record and then try and compete, with each song versus each song. When we could just put them out there and, hopefully you like them. If you don't, then we'll have another single for you and hopefully you like that.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you all think of the model that is kind of the main thing now, whereas, it's either Spotify or streaming of some kind that gets you noticed? I think it has its drawbacks, but it can have its benefits. I just think it can also be very evilly utilized.
Yeah. I mean, for Spotify and Apple Music and all those, it's a lot easier to get things out.
Yeah.
I mean, all that cuts all the cost out of putting out a CD, right? Your overhead is basically paying for, your yearly subscription to whatever the host is that sends it out to all the places. So as far as cost and being able just to say upload and here it is to the world, that's a humongous pro. But
well, I mean, we just hit, I think our current stats are like almost 12,000 streams on Devil so far in like 3 or 4 months. And there's no way in hell I could have sold that many physical CDs. Now from an artist payout situation, of course you're going to make less money on streaming than you would, on CDs or whatever. But let's be honest, most bands that aren't Justin Bieber or Nickelback, are they really making that much money anyway?
I agree.
So I mean, I see it as a plus, and I see it as a way to get your music to the masses a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, it's right there.
Oh, go ahead, Hobby. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
Oh, I was going to say, it's in your pocket. As soon as you hit upload and release, it's there. It's for everybody.
And it's not exclusive anymore either. Like the kid, like I told you about growing up listening to 30-second snippets of songs at FYE. You don't have to do that anymore. Everybody's got a Spotify subscription. If you don't, hell, it's on YouTube too. Yeah. It's accessible. Everybody can hear it now.
Yeah, you can listen to it free if you're going to. Yeah. Just as ads every once in a while. So, it's crazy that's where we're at right now. And it's that easy just to give your creation to the world that fast.
Yeah. Because I remember back when I was a teenager, uploading these shitty recordings to MySpace. So that way my friends could hear me off tune and off pitch and off time and everything else. And it's like
all kinds of noise.
Yeah. Now you can like you said, you just push a button and it's uploaded, and not only to one server or whatever, but like to every major streaming platform.
Right.
And I do find it to be enriching in the sense that it broadens your reach of what you can achieve. But I also think like sometimes it's so oversaturated, it's hard to get seen.
Yeah.
But that's with anything. I mean, that's
Yeah.
with anything right now. You know,
Yeah.
social media. What it comes down to, I think eventually, you know, the creators and the artists that have real solid content, not just, you know, for music, but podcasts and all kinds of things. Eventually, I think that'll kind of filter through, but that's just life in general. You know, I mean, even before that, how hard was it to sell a CD? Nobody wanted to buy a CD.
Yeah.
You know, it was harder to get noticed when you were trying to sell somebody a $5-10 CD than it is now. You know, at least now it's free. People don't like when you try and pull into their wallets.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, I've always thought that, you know, if the music industry had gotten ahead on the model of Napster and iTunes, it would be such a different world for music now. There's actually a great documentary on that if you guys are ever interested. It's 30 Seconds to Mars Artifact, and it is absolutely incredible. They touch on that, but they also talk about just a whole bunch of other things that to this day I still, you know, listen to. But I went on a tangent there. I do apologize.
That's the fun of these things.
Yeah.
So now I am going to get to the song that made me feel the most. Invisible. I know that was Richie's song, but
Yeah.
I heard that, and like, look, in all transparency, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I was listening to that at work, and it hit me like a ton of fucking bricks. Just the melancholic vocals and the, you know, the pleading lyrics. Like, I know you can't give me the perspective of him from where he was at, but what is that song like for you all to perform?
Well, first off, if you don't mind me asking, which version did you listen to?
Did
you listen to Richie's version?
I listened to the one on the 50 Flies website. It was yeah.
That was the acoustic remake that me and Austin did.
Yeah.
There's actually a version on there too of Richie, if you look it up on YouTube, of him actually singing it.
Okay.
When I first joined the band, that was the song that really convinced me to join, just because Andrew's guitar parts were so good in that song, you know, and I related to it, you know, because I think that's one of those songs that every single piece in that song can relate to someone.
Yeah.
And, you know, not just on a mental health level, on an anything level, you know, everybody feels invisible from time to time, you know, everybody feels like they don't matter, you know, and the truth is that they do, you know, and when we play that song live, you know, I usually give a whole spiel about it, man. You know, we're all here for one reason. You know, we all notice you. You know, we all love you, and you know, I would much rather speak to someone at 3:00 in the morning than attend their fucking funeral.
Yeah,
you know, it's the truth, and that's the entire that's what I take from that song. Is I see that as like a lot of people would listen to it and almost feel like it's a depressing song, but it's not. You know, because at the very end of the song, you know, the lyrics are "I am who I am, and that's all that I can be." I mean, you're coming out of that. You're starting to realize, you know, that you're not invisible. And even if you are, for lack of a better word, be the best fucking invisible person you can be, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, honest to God.
Right.
And I think that song really relates, because I think everybody's been there.
Yeah. It's to me, I thought it was one of the most emotional tracks that I've listened to in a long while.
Why don't you check out the YouTube Richie's version? He played his songs, and he fronted that, and a lot of those songs are a lot slower. He's different key; they're a lot slower.
Intros are longer,
and that's how he loved them. He loved them to drag almost.
Yeah.
So those recordings of him that are I think were from Amos's, that they had are really good. So yeah, definitely go check those out. And
knowing what I said earlier too, you know, like about Richie having a really hard time getting up there and doing that. Watching those videos, man, that makes that 10 times more powerful, you know, to watch those videos because you see him on video, you know, pushing through all of
that. I have, you know, some forms of stage fright and anxiety, and I'm still wanting to get up on the stage and everything. So like that just really hits home, knowing that that's something he dealt with as well. It goes back to what I said earlier, where, you know, if people are willing to open up about some of the things that they've actually gone through, you don't know who it could help. You really don't. And I think for when I heard Invisible, the very first comparison I gave it in the most loving and respectful way, there was a band by the name of Smear. Smeer, and they were a very underground band. They didn't last very long, but they did a song called Seed. And if you all get the chance to look that one up, it's a very melancholic tone as well, but it gave me that same kind of vibe. And I don't know, man, it just it damn near brought me to my knees.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. It's an honor to play that song every night, man. It really is.
So I know I'll have to let you guys go here in just a few minutes. You all have been more than gracious with your time. I can't tell you thank you enough.
For sure, man. We love it.
I was hoping the best for last, so let's fucking talk about Devil. All right. Like I feel like that is your most advanced sounding as far as, you know, engineering and modernized elements, but still infused with that 2000 style. What was it like creating that one?
Devil was, and I said this on one of the last podcasts we were on, Devil was a product of me in my living room right here at like 3 o'clock in the morning, not able to sleep. And I just had that lyric going through my head. You know, I thought you were an angel, but you're just a fucking devil. And I was like, okay, how can I make that work? So it's like, okay, I thought you were an angel. And then it's like, okay, set to set me free. And it's just, you know, it all just kind of started flowing. And then again, the verse was kind of built around that. It is a breakup song, but it's one of those songs that I think, again, anybody can relate to, you know, and it's like, you know, I'm hurt, but I'm pissed off. You know, and I'm not quite sure which one I want to be yet. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of where it goes. And as much as I probably should walk away, I'm not sure if I'm ready to fucking do that. You know, that's really what that song's about.
So
we worked with, like Kevin mentioned earlier, Jordan and Sam with Pangea, who are also from the band Killicoy, if nobody knew that.
Okay.
So we went in the studio with them. Kevin has lyrics, and we just sat and had a mind meld and just started laying this thing down.
It definitely is a beast in itself. Kevin, are you doing the beginning vocals on that as well?
The rappy stuff?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dude, okay. So honestly, I thought there was a different vocalist because your tone inflection is so different versus your other voice in it. And then your scream for when you're saying fucking devil. It reminded me so much, and I mean this in a respectful way, because some people shit on them, but it reminded me of A Day to Remember's Miracle.
Oh, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I fuck with A Day to Remember.
Dude, I mean, we won't talk about the latest single that they put out, but that's just besides the point right now. But no, when I heard your voice on that, man, I was like, holy shit. Like,
I'll give you a little Easter egg about that one part. The thing about me, I'm really bad at low screams, if you could believe that. Like, most of my screams are really high. That one scream on the "'cause you're just a fucking devil" at the end of the chorus, that's actually doubled. So that's me and that's our guitar player Andrew all at one time.
Okay.
Because I've kind of got the high end, and Andrew has the low end, so it kind of
got this. He's got this demon way down in there that comes out when he gets on.
I swear to God, if you can hear the raw track for that, it sounds like Randy Bly from Lamb of God.
I fuck
Like
with
the
that.
raw file of that was like, damn, Andrew, like you just went like black metal on us there for a minute, bro. Holy shit.
I fuck with that. Huge Lamb of God fan over here. Javi, what was it like, recording the bass for that song?
So when I went in, it was just me and Sam. Pretty much everything was laid down. I think Kevin we were still listening to scratch vocals. But me and Sam went in, and he's such a good dude, man. It was no problem, just kind of making sure we go through, taking our time, for messing up or starting over. We're not just fixing it. We're starting over, and we're gonna lay it down, and then we're gonna get out of that studio, and it's gonna be exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, he's a soldier, dude. He stuck it out and was like, we got to do it again. Let's do it again.
They're so talented. They're so talented.
Yeah. But it was a good time just sitting with everybody in there and getting all these ideas, man. Just watching it grow from just Kevin's lyrics to what we have now. It was a great experience with those guys.
I kind of had a mental picture of what I wanted the song to sound like when I first wrote it. And what Jordan and Sam were able to help us capture was better than what I had stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us would have expected it to turn into what it did. And, it's honestly, and I usually am not the guy to listen to my own songs because by the time you get done, the recording process, you've heard it so many times, you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm good. But I actually jam the song in the car. I'll listen to it all the time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We've gone all over the place tonight, like I said earlier, and this has been a blast. It really has.
Yeah, for sure.
We appreciate you, man. It's been awesome.
Absolutely.
What is next for 50 Flies?
Well, I made an announcement. Matter of fact, at our last show, it was the Rooster Olympics event in Gastonia. All the money went to benefit charity.
Yes.
I'm very pleased to announce that we raised over $7,000, which beat last year's goal. So Thank you to everybody who came out to that. But I announced there that the next single is going to be called I'm Not Okay. It's going to touch on mental health hardcore. It's going to be a lot more somber than Devil. And the cool part is it's going to feature Mr. Travis Kazaya from Scars Remain.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think you guys are going to love that one when it drops. I don't have a date yet. It's just trying to get everybody's availabilities to work. From what I was told, from what Travis told me, he's got his verse done. My verses are pretty much done. So now it's getting him in the studio to get that laid down and then, getting the band.
Yeah, we're at scratches are done. We're ready to go in and get the last little bit finished up.
Damn. So do you all have any shows coming up?
Thursday, I think we'll be. Is it Thursday, Javi?
Yeah, we're at the Milestone on Thursday, and then
July 11th, I think we're in Greensboro.
Yeah, I have a hard time keeping all the dates in my head.
I feel you. I just
I was going to look them up real fast, but yeah, we got a few coming up over the next 2 months right now that we have on the calendar.
And that could always change. We're always adding dates and stuff like that. It really just depends on where and with who and if we can make it work.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, as of right now, I think the only two are Milestone, and then we're playing Hangar 1819 in Greensboro in July.
Yeah. That's a good problem to have that you can't remember the dates.
We also have a Lancaster show.
Oh, that's right.
On the 29th of June with a War to Win. And July 11th is the Greensboro show with
that was right.
Walking Terror Exodus and Poet.
Yeah. Those guys have been wanting to get on a bill for a while with us. They've hit us up a while back, and we just now were able to make it happen. So we're excited.
Well, I'll give myself a little plug here just because I have to at least try. But anytime you guys ever want to collaborate, I can do some vocals over here.
Absolutely.
But Kevin, Javi, thank you so much, man. This has been a blast.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. I definitely want you guys back on here.
Absolutely.
Whenever you guys want. Next time you guys drop a single, maybe if you guys want to jump on here.
Yeah, that works out great.
We'd love to get Chip and Andrew on here because I feel like Chip might be able to give you a better perspective on a lot of Richie songs. Richie was Chip's nephew, so they were a lot closer. Chip might be able to give you a little bit more insight.
Hell yeah. That would be amazing, actually. Thank you again for being so transparent about everything.
No problem.
I think that's the best way for people to be. It's just transparent, especially when we're approaching music or any creative endeavors that we have. And quick shout out to Javi for his podcast, I believe, Film and a Pod? A Film and a Pod?
Movie and a Pod.
A movie and a pod. Okay.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, go check it out.
But, fellas, thank you for going beyond the breakdown with 6 Scars tonight. How are you all feeling?
Oh, it was great, man. We had a blast.
Yeah, man. It was awesome. Really appreciate the questions you had, man, and the curiosity you have as well.
Yeah.
You went a lot more in depth than most people, and it's crazy. And man, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, to me, man, if I'm gonna conduct an interview, like, I got to bring my A game because this is me that I'm representing, and I'm trying to get the best out of my guests, and get their name out there even more. So
absolutely,
it's like,
you definitely did your homework.
I'm a bookworm, dude, especially with music. Awesome. But brothers, I will let you go, and I will be in touch with you all shortly. And I'll get you connected with Will and his podcast. Cool. And then if you all, I think you might have been on it already, but the Melanie Nix's podcast.
Have we? I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
She's a huge part of the North Carolina scene through Carolina Promotions. I would love to get you guys hooked up with her as well.
Absolutely. We're down.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good.
She runs a lot of things she helps out a lot at the Rooster and things like that. So,
okay,
yeah,
good deal.
Absolutely.
So, fellas, with that, I will let you guys go, and thank you again for doing this.
Thank you.
Good.
Have a good night, guys.
See you guys. Well, everybody, that was Kevin and Javi of 50 Flies, and I just want to say thank you so much again for being here and being a part of this. This was truly an awesome episode tonight. Didn't know exactly what to expect, as always. I tend to fumble over my words, tend to do this, tend to do that, but all in all, it was just a fantastic episode. Please do follow the Beyond the Breakdown podcast. You can follow it at Linktree. That's linktr.ie/BTBpod6scars. You want to help buy me a coffee because sometimes I'm tired of drinking monsters over here? Cash App at MoneyJT Christine. I love you guys, and I will see you next time.